So one thing that I wanted to mention today is the 21st. All this stuff going on in the news. One of the things that I think senators should be acting on is, in terms of trying to get the economy reopened, trying to prevent something like this happening in the future, and the ramifications, the negative ramifications of uh, basically the concern of constitutional rights being taken away, and also the concern of people's right to protest being taken away, which is consistent to what we're seeing in authoritarian, China. We don't want that to happen here. I think, people, Democrats and Republicans can agree. They do want to effectively manage this crisis. They don't want to, they want to prevent people from getting, sick, and they want to prevent healthcare facilities from getting overwhelmed. I think everyone agrees on that too, whether you're, a Democrat, Republican, etc. So, but I think the legislation needs to be passed to prevent governors and mayors, you know, doing these stay-at-home orders in the future, because the danger is that constitutional rights will go, the right to protest will go. That's what makes our country special. That's what, freedom, liberty, that's what this country is all about. So, I think it's the legislation to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future, because the problem is, doctors are coming out, studies are being made, you're looking at the countries that did quarantines, the countries that did stay-at-home orders, the countries that didn't do those things. And it really doesn't matter whether you do the quarantine or stay-at-home order. This virus comes in. If you're looking at it on a spreadsheet, it peaks, it dies back down. This is how this is behaving. You're looking at multiple countries, multiple different geographic areas, and then there's also the ramifications of some of the stuff that's been going on with the research. There's a great article in the Guardian where, depending on the parts per million, depending on the pollution. So an area like Italy or New York City that's has pollution issues, we're seeing a lot of high deaths. It's a colder climate. It's not, pollution issues like California, but it's a warm, sunny place out there. So the two different things combined, the colder climate and the pollution issue with this respiratory thing, it's more of a severe dramatic effect for patients. So you're seeing more death there for those reasons too, beyond just the elderly and stuff like that. So, but it's kind of scary, because some of those stay-at-home orders, a lot of those people probably could have survived if they could have gone out to the country where the pollution wasn't as severe, and the illness would not have had as a dramatic effect on them. So it's almost like stay-at-home orders in some instances were death orders, and that's sort of a scary thing to look at, because it was one of my first observations. Because when this initially went down, I was in a big city, and I was like, I felt like I had a little cough. I felt, once I got out of the city, I felt like dramatically better. So I was like, what's going on? Did they get gas? What's going on? You know what I mean? Not being an expert, but just my firsthand experience, and then seeing that article in the Guardian reinforced, what I had concluded. So, I think that, we want to make sure, that if you're these stay-at-home orders, there just isn't the research papers and the science to back them, being the correct course of action. Now, I think certainly businesses across the board could make the choice, without a governor order or mayor order, to close down, and to be cautious and to be preventative. And I think a lot of them would, and I think a lot of them still will, even after these orders or whatever are lifted. So, and, a lot of the essential versus unessential, there's nothing to prove what's essential and what's unessential also. No research papers, nothing is, there's no scientific stuff behind any of that. And it's really important to slow down and put the brakes on, pump the brakes here. Where's this coming from? World Health Organization. Well, there's nothing to support it being the correct course of action. But we do see World Health Organization running by people who aren't doctors. We see Bill Gates. We see, China behind it all. And China had a huge issue with protesters in Beijing prior to the release of this, or the, whatever happened with this virus. Was this done intentionally there to basically silence their protesters? Huge question mark on Beijing, huge question mark on China. And I think where we're at is, we might not be able to prove that either way right here in the United States, but we certainly can say, hey, we don't want to, it's okay for people to protest here peacefully in the United States. It always has been, whether they want to protest any issue, any of 5,000 different issues, whether it's protesting a stay-at-home order, whether it's protesting on behalf of the environment, or protesting because they want, workers' rights, or they want, healthcare, it doesn't matter, they can protest. So, both sides of any debate can protest, as long as it's done peacefully and respectfully. And I think we don't want to lose that, because we want to have that, intelligent debate on issues here in the United States, and that's what's made us a world leader for a long time. Is that right from the beginning we were protesting, Britain 300 or 200 something years ago, and their ill treatment of us. And we've gone through, like someone was, Bill Mitchell or someone was online. He was saying, we've been through the Revolutionary War, we've been through the Civil War, we've been through other epidemics. The United States, this is not a big deal. Typically, these type of respiratory viruses run their course in the spring. Once the warmer weather comes, in the summer, in the sunlight, those respiratory, they don't have, they kind of tend to go away. So, but just all of this data, is sort of bringing me to the point where I think my conclusion is I think that the senators need to pass legislation to prevent these type of bogus order things happening, because it's not sourced out of the USA. It's not sourced from science. We don't want our country, they're using germ warfare over there, or they made a mistake over there and they released the virus accidentally. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at this point. We want to investigate it. We want to find it out, but it doesn't really matter at this point. What matters at this point is we don't want them to shape the future of our country. We don't want them to destroy our democracy. You know what I mean? With China, who, whatever world order, we don't want that to happen here in the United States. Our Constitution and our economy are the two things we need to fight for. And that's what I was saying. With the Constitution and the economy in place, the Constitution is really, our rights to organize, rights to speak, rights to, not get forced in lockdowns and that kind of thing. So, and with the economy going, those are the two things that have made us, position us over the last several hundred years to be what we are, a world leader, to be just and diplomatic, to be effective, and to be an innovator, to be a good collaborator with other nations, and to help move the world forward, and to bring the best of the talent everywhere here. We don't want to lose the best of the talent to China or to Russia or to other places. We want to continue to have a good, strong economy. We want to continue to have open doors. We want to continue to be a leader, an innovator, to be a creative and powerful, ingenious country that is, that is democratic. You know what I mean? And that is not a country that is run on an authoritarian rule and that is giving people orders to lock people up and to not go to work. You know what I mean? So, and the biggest thing, I just want to circle back to it again, I've already said it though, Constitution, economy are the two things we need to fight for as Americans, but nothing science-based behind these stay-at-home orders. It doesn't make any sense. The science-based stuff has been saying, though, once this has happened, we can't go, it's already happened, but the science stuff is saying that it would not have mattered, whether they quarantine or the stay-at-home orders, this virus is running its peak in circuit anyway. So it's we want to make sure we have the right to protest. Everyone does. We want to make sure this never happens again. And I think, we need to step in and, the legislatures need to step in and say, this is a dangerous thing that was beginning to happen here. We don't want authoritarian rule in this country. We don't want an authoritarian president. We don't want to, regardless of what party they are, we want people to be able to, we want America to be the best, and to make America the best, it has to be like it's been, which is democratic and a free country. So we want to make sure we keep those rights, and we keep those values. So that's why I think the legislation needs to be passed to make it so that this never happens again, in terms of these stay-at-home orders and in terms of this un-American, unconstitutional stuff that has been going on here, because the science and the research does not back it as the correct course of action, and it was done hastily and perhaps in some instances with good intention, and perhaps also as done just because Trump was, his back against the wall. And these crazy people are, these crazy people are so panic mode and so afraid. You know what I mean? So I think we have to acknowledge that too. But we have to be, we have to be strong in the face of these type of things. And we have to understand that our freedom and our democracy is more important. And the best thing is there is that freedom of choice. So people can, even, once the stay-home orders are lifted, people should be encouraged and can, especially vulnerable populations. I think it was Senator Cruz in Texas saying, it's people, HIV, people of, low immune system, or people, elderly people, vulnerable populations should probably continue to exercise precaution. And if that makes sense, to exercise precaution and try to make sure, protect themselves and stay safe. But there's a huge other part of the population that is and also just areas that are rural versus, or sunny areas that are rural versus areas that are urban and stuff like that. So, just these huge blanket essential versus unessential business designations, no science, no research to back it. It really is a problematic thing. We don't want to destroy our economy. We've never shut our economy down. Revolutionary War, Civil War, we've never shut our economy down. World War I, World War II. It's not the way to do it. We didn't decide to do it. World Health Organization, China is trying to enforce this on us, indirectly through this fake, through this virus and this stuff. So I think America needs to wake up, and America needs to pass that legislation to make sure this never happens again, and to correct this right now, so that we can have a good course of action with this COVID. We cannot destroy our economy, and we can have a good course of action for the upcoming elections in the autumn as well, 2020. Thank you.